This is Mauga charging, and this is Roadhog charging. Since my dear Samoan prince is going to be gone, me and Super Slime used the workshop editor to recreate him and created the monstrosity Roadhog. Roadhog is really close to the actual Mauga, so if you don't want to wait another 30 days to play Mauga, feel free to use the code on screen, and you can play Roadhog, which like I said is Mauga but as Roadhog. However, since this is a workshop game mode and there are some tools that we don't have as a workshop editor, there are some slight differences and I'll be going over that, but be sure to like, subscribe, and let's get into it. Roadhog's primary fire is pretty much the same. It has roughly the same spread and about the same damage. The only difference is that the fall-off damage is slightly different. We used a ladder approach to the fall-off damage where between 0 and 25 meters, I think, it's normal damage. And then between like 25 and 35, it's I think 70% damage, and then beyond that is like 40%, I can't remember exactly. And the reason we did that is simply because fall off is kind of hard to calculate with the workshop, especially with custom projectiles. So we just didn't bother doing it exactly. And I don't think we could have, and I'll get into that now. When you shoot someone with the primary fire for 11 bullets, you will light them on fire. This is accurate to actual Mauga. And then when you secondary fire, you get the regular bullets, and if you hit them while they're on fire, you do more damage. On top of that, if you hit a burning target with the secondary fire, you get overhealth, or in this case, you'll get regular health. This is one of the important differences about Roadhog and Mauga. Since we have a limited amount of health pools, I cannot just keep adding health pools on top of health pools, so I had to use a player variable, which by the way, if you don't understand this, don't worry too much, I'll explain it better in a second. But I had to use a player variable, which just basically means that I cannot translate immediately to overhealth, and I would have to calculate whether or not the bullet that I shot was a headshot or not, whether or not it was from the secondary fire, whether or not my dog got ran over by a car. I don't know, the workshop is really annoying. But since I cannot tell the differences between the two projectiles from his primary and his secondary, I can't tell if I'm doing a headshot or not. So unfortunately, I just replaced the overhealth with healing, and I'm very sorry about that. However, his passive does work. If you do hit a headshot, he will get overhealth. Just if you hit a burning target with a body shot, you will not get overhealth, and instead it's healing. Unfortunately, I also had to do this with the healing on the Overrun, but we'll get to that when we get there. But to finish off the secondary fire, it's the same as Mauga, with the exception of if you body shot a person, you just get healing instead of overhealth. And what's actually really cool about Roadhog is that when you shoot both of them at the same time, the spread gets bigger just like Mauga. The only difference, of course, because there has to be a difference, is that the bullet spread of Roadhog's gun is completely random. If you shoot as like Reaper or Torbjorn, you'll notice that the spread is kinda spread out. Those are shotguns, but it does make it really easy to see. While Roadhog goes completely randomly with the bullet spread, which means that all your bullets could concentrate in the middle, or they could all be on the edge. So sometimes you will absolutely destroy someone because every single bullet just happened to hit their head, or you might miss a lot because the bullet spread just said so. But luckily, to make up for that, the fall off, like I said, is kind of glitched out, so you do have slightly better fall off range. Another slight difference is that Roadhog's reload is slightly faster. Whatever, it's not that bad. The ultimate charge is about the same, and the hitbox is about the same. I just wanted to mention that if anyone wanted to bring it up. Also, you may notice that the abilities are read out. That means you do have them. Unfortunately, I just have to do that. So if your abilities are red, that means you have it, and if it's on cooldown, it's on cooldown. And you may notice that the ultimate is at 0. That is because you have your ultimate. If you actually press Q while the ultimate symbol is there, Roadhog will go into a channeling ultimate, which cannot be cancelled in the workshop. You cannot change the duration. You just have to accept your fate that you're using Roadhog's ultimate. So I decided to disable it completely when you do get it. However, the ultimate meter does work when you're gaining your ultimate. Moving on to Overrun, Mauga does a dash where he cannot be stunned, but he can be hacked, and then does a little jump. You can also cancel it, you can do it earlier. So we had to do all of that within the workshop. This is actually where Super Slime came in, where he did the charge and I did mostly everything else. So thank you for him for almost recreating it perfectly. Basically, you have a slight delay before starting up, which by the way, I should have mentioned that you do have a slight rev up speed on the gun. And on top of that, if you actually shoot and then like pepper shoot someone, I guess you can keep the fire going without it going out. Again, not too important, but we did try to get every detail down that we could. But back onto the Overrun. If you hit someone while rushing, you'll do 20 damage and knock them back. If you happen to slam next to them, you'll do 40 damage. And if you happen to land on them, you'll do 80 damage and knock them down. We don't know the exact numbers and the wiki has not been updated yet. So we are testing the numbers to try and get them as close as we can. So if we figure out a number is wrong, we will change it when we figure it out. As of right now, as an example, we do not know the radius of the critical hit hitbox, so we kind of guessed it based off of our testing. Also, I do acknowledge that the camera does go a little wonky on Mauga. We'll just say it gives it a little bit of personality. The final thing to note as a difference between Mauga and Mauga is that the jump does happen, I think, a little bit early on Mauga, but you do end up about the same distance. And by technicality, you don't get a little bit more elevation when you go off a cliff with Mauga. But I mean, it's not that much with Mauga anyways. Oh, final difference that I forgot to mention with the guns. We're going back to the guns, is that the guns come from the same direction from Roadhog. I did that for visual clutter, I guess. It was just too messy when it came from his right and left, so we just kept it. And as I mentioned earlier, if you sit on someone as Mauga, you normally gain overhealth, which I think is about 32, which is 40% of the critical hit damage, if anyone's wondering. We did a lot of nerd stuff in the last 2 days. But since I can't do overhealth like I said earlier, it just does healing, which is technically a small, very small nerf, because if you're at full health, you won't get that healing, but I doubt you'll notice it. However, here is the first major bug that I don't think we can fix. When you are dashing and you get stunned or slept or something, you just have to take it, unfortunately. The only way to counter this is to have you be phased out, but then you won't be able to get shot or hacked or anything, so we had to make it so when you do get stunned or slept or something, you just continue your dash and you immediately wake up. I'm very sorry about that. I don't think I can fix that. Which, by the way, there was actually one guy who posted a lot of the Mauga stats after I already got them, and I kind of compared notes with them, and I think most of my numbers are accurate, because theirs was almost the exact same, so shout out to this guy for doing the work that I didn't need to do because I could have just copied his homework. But as I said, if you get slept or stunned or something, you will just continue your dash, you'll just wake up. It's kind of like a delay. And again, another quirk with Mauga is that you actually can kind of aim your jump after you start jumping, unlike Mauga. I'll say that's the trade-off for not being able to be completely invulnerable while rushing. Again, this is as accurate as we can get it, and if there's something that I miss and you're really good at the workshop, feel free to fix it. Now moving on to Mauga's cardiac arrest, overdrive. When your teammates are in range, you will give them a damage resistance and lifesteal. Believe it or not, I think this is the most accurate ability to Mauga, and I might update his HUD so you can see when it's going to run out, but basically when it gets to 10 seconds, that's when it runs out. But yeah, besides looking different, it's pretty much the same. And now on to the amazing ultimate. And I got some really bad news for you guys. Unfortunately, you cannot create barriers with the workshop. The only way to remedy this is to use either existing barriers in the game, or to make your own custom barriers, which kinda sucks. I decided to use Winston's barrier instead of a custom barrier, because custom barriers, like I said, kinda suck. The only downside is that now Mauga's ultimate is 8 seconds instead of 10, because Winston's bubble only lasts for 8 seconds. You cannot change that duration with the workshop. You cannot change the duration even in the custom game settings. I don't know why, it's just like Roadhog's ultimate, you can't change it for some reason, and we just have to accept it. But you can change how big the shield is, so I did get the shield to be about accurate, with the exception, of course, of the dome, I guess, shape. So instead of it being like a light shaft where it goes up and down, it's a dome. Anyone in the radius will be caught in it, will be stuck in a chain fight, and I didn't add the chain animations because I'm historically bad with beams, I am very sorry. But it's pretty obvious when you're stuck in it. And it pretty much works the same as actual Mauga. You have infinite bullets, you get to kill everything, they can't leave, you can't leave. And right now, as of recording of this, I haven't gotten all the abilities to not work in the dome, because the movement abilities just don't work in Mauga's ultimate. So if there is a bug that I don't know about yet, but I will know by the time this video comes out, I will put it on screen now. However, there is one game-breaking bug. Game-breaking bug number 1 was when you get stunned out of your overrun. Game-breaking bug number 2 was me not being able to change durations and do a funny barrier. Game-breaking bug number 3 is when there is another Mauga that ultimates at the same time as you, he completely nullifies your ultimate when it ends. When a Mauga on the other team ultimates, and then let's say you ultimate, when his ultimate ends, your ultimate will bug out. That is simply because they use the same player variable in order to detect whether you're chained or not, and since the same Mauga location is used, it confuses which Mauga location to use, and it will use your own, so it actually uses the reverse of the actual Mauga ultimate, because in the Mauga ultimate, when two Maugas ultimate at the same time, you get chained to, I think, the enemy one, while Mauga Hog will chain you to your own, which kinda sucks. It sucks that it's the reverse. Since ultimating as Mauga within a Mauga ultimate is not very tactically a good idea, I'm going to assume most people are not going to do it. However, maybe I'm just bad at Mauga and I read that wrong, and it's actually a great idea. So if this bug ends up being a huge problem, I will try my best to fix it, but I don't know a good solution for this, and I'm very sorry. This is the one that I wish I could fix out of all of them. Again, if you're good at the workshop, please hit me up. I have a Discord. I have a comment section that sometimes is a bit much, but typically videos like these don't do very well, so you'll probably get away with it by commenting. But with that, I think we have completely covered Mauga Hog and the slight differences between Mauga Hog and Mauga, besides the, obvious like visual differences and it being Roadhog instead of Mauga. I mean, there's actually one bug I know about that I'm not going to talk about because it's actually one that we can keep hidden for 30 days, I'm sure. How about this? I'll make you guys a deal. If you comment happy birthday Soupy, because Soupy's birthday is in, I think, 13 days from the time that this video is posted, I will tell you. And then I will dislike your comment so it's at the bottom of the comment section so other people don't know. Anyways, let's move on to something a little bit wild. It took Blizzard 4.5 years to add Mauga to this game. Now, the reason that was because Sigma's kit was originally supposed to be Mauga, as most of us know. But it didn't fit his kit, and I'm glad they didn't add him because Mauga now is pretty cool. However, we all know that the Overwatch 1 drought happened, Overwatch started dying, heck, Overwatch is still dying. But then when Overwatch 2 came around, content came back, pretty epic. But I think it's really funny that it took Zuper and I almost about 2 days, and we basically remade Mauga. And obviously they have a bunch of art that makes him look cool, makes him actually feel good, and they had to redesign his kit. So I'm actually not going to be dunking on Blizzard. It's actually quite the opposite. Why do we not have more workshop features? There is just a lot of stuff that you just cannot do. Like, why can't you make new maps? Why can't you add barriers, actually? Like, why can't we even do barriers? That's insane. But then I kind of think about it. I look at the workshop videos on YouTube and they don't do very well. I mean, my videos do good relatively, but those are the one change for every hero videos. Well, someone about 2 years ago, and I shouted out this video a long time ago, made a complete randomizer from the ground up, and I actually think he got some recognition recently with like flats and all that, but that video only has 1 to 2k views or something. I don't know how much it is now, but there is basically no incentive to use the workshop. You don't even get XP unless if you're doing a match, and even then it doesn't even work sometimes. Dude, why do you even want XP? Man, Overwatch just doesn't have any rewards to play the game. Except for, of course, competitive, which is competitive points, ranks, and all that. So why would you ever want to go to the workshop game modes? There's nothing to grind for on the workshop. Workshops can't even handle big stuff. I wanted to make Pokemon. I wanted to remake the PvE and I can't because it just crashes. You can't have more than 24 bots because who knows why, so I couldn't remake chess perfectly. To be fair, someone already did that. As I mentioned the PvE again, you can only have 24 bots, like I said. I think that's the number at least. Although I already mentioned this, but you cannot use maps. So that means that if I did remake the PvE, I would have to use either Brazil for like the first one, which you already go through the whole map. So where would I do the ship part? I don't know. I could make a custom ship if I wanted to, but you can't. On top of that, I doubt it even worked because it would crash. It overloads. That's what really makes me salty, is when the game would overloads. I don't know. I think they should add modding to the game, but they're too focused on all the skins and stuff, which, to be fair, is actually a good thing because it keeps the company afloat. But I'm sitting here like, man, there's only so many one change videos I can do. Or there's only so many games you can remake without running into issues. Like I said, I want to make Pokemon in Overwatch. I just do. But I know dang well it's gonna crash, and it's gonna have to be a low population count because of how it works. Something I'll mention as an example, there's only so many workshop points you can use. So there's like this workshop point system, extension point system, where you can either take away features so you can have more of other features, or you have to accept that you just have the base features of the game, and then you can only add a couple new things. For example, if you look at Mauga Hog, you'll notice that Doomfist's animation, when he slams, goes on the ground. That cost us 2 workshop points. So that means that we cannot have, for example, extra dummy bots. Not like we need that. But the workshop is in just such a limited state that you can't do much better, and I don't know if Overwatch is going to do anything about it, which, by the way, I've been saying Blizzard this whole time. I don't know if Blizzard or Microsoft or what it is anymore, so please don't flame me about that. But yeah, it's kind of sad. The workshop environment is kind of not there. The only people who are able to do stuff is, let's say, Flats or Emong or someone. They do a review of a game mode, and it's really cool. I think that's epic, by the way. Especially Boger, by the way. Shout out to that guy. He actually did a whole video about my game mode just to get 50k views. So hopefully I don't sound too whiny about this. The whole point of this video was to remake Mauga, but as a secondary point, I just wanted to mention that the workshop is really, really cool, and you can do a lot of cool stuff with it. It just feels very, very limiting at times. It has glitches. You can't even like set ammo on some characters. You can't set durations. You can't set barriers. But you can set barrier sizes, but you can't make new barriers. And since Overwatch's management is in complete chaos, I don't expect any features. I mean, actually, I do know if you look at Fortnite over there, Overwatch took a page from Fortnite to make the game free to play in the first place. So why don't they do the same thing with creative mode? Let us ultra mod Overwatch and make it so creative mode has more players than the actual battle royale game mode. I mean, Roblox does the same thing. It's all about custom games. Minecraft, the modding community is huge. Why can't we mod Overwatch? Now, I don't want to leak this just in case I completely scrap this project, but I've been attempting to work on a mod for Overwatch that will not be something huge, like it doesn't change Overwatch internally, but it's going to be like an outside little mod that does a little something special. I'm not going to leak it because, like I said, I don't know if it's actually going to happen, but if it ever does happen, it might fundamentally break some of the content and bring the custom games into the limelight. And maybe if somehow the community gets word of this, Overwatch might one day bring some sort of modding to Overwatch. And that's my rant about the workshop after using it for about a year. Granted, I used it in Overwatch 1, but I don't super count that because I wasn't good at it. Even now, I'm not good at it. But yeah, that's the end of the video. I'm kind of out of ideas, so feel free to comment down below your ideas. Hopefully my points made sense. I kind of just rambled on. I'll be honest with you, I don't have a script or anything. I'm not going to redo voiceovers, except I'm going to be real with you. I called the Overrun ability cardiac arrest like 5 times. That's not even the right ability, and I called it the wrong name. Cardiac arrest is like when your heart fails. I would know. So that's the only time I'm gonna redo the voiceovers. But yeah, comment down below any ideas that I can do. But most importantly, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you've watched a lot of my videos and you're not subscribed yet, feel free to go check. But yeah, I really hope you guys enjoyed, most importantly. Hoping to make a workshop tutorial soon. And the workshop Discord, please do not crucify me on a stick. Goodbye.